If you've been on Twitter in the last month or so, you've probably seen tweets by this girl, Pearl Davis, or Pearly Things, and recently she's been the topic of a lot of discussion and backlash. It seems like every day there's a new tweet of hers that's going viral because she has kind of wormed her way into the red pill manosphere kind of content. Her videos on YouTube are talking about why men want multiple wives, woke culture, and how feminism is bad. She's been on Fresh and Fit, and you can tell just by some of the tweets I'm putting up on the screen here that she's one of those women who puts down her own sex as a whole in order to appeal to a certain kind of male audience. And I'm not a feminist in any extreme sense. I'm actually pretty trad, but let me just read aloud some of these tweets because I think if I speak the words that this lady actually typed and hit send on, it just kind of highlights how absurd what she actually says is. No, ladies, none of your jobs are that important. Society would be much more efficient if we all left the workforce tomorrow. Outside of monetizing female beauty, men can do pretty much everything better than us. You can't be a trad wife if you think women should vote. Ask your husband, Diane. Women imposing their will on their children is evil. I'm sorry. That's like her worst one. That one is so ridiculous. How does anyone actually believe this? So yeah, Pearl is kind of a pick-me girl in the sense that she's trying to appeal to this extreme audience of the manosphere by denouncing femininity entirely, which I would argue is the exact opposite of what traditional values really are. But let's be honest, this is all a grift to these people, and if Pearl actually does believe these things, she's a massive hypocrite. If women aren't supposed to do anything or have any sort of career whatsoever, she should delete her YouTube channel and disappear from the internet. But obviously she's not going to do that because she's getting a lot of attention, especially male attention, and that's ultimately what she really wants. Well, if you thought that the tweets I just read you are insane, you aren't ready for what I'm about to show you now. This tweet was subsequently deleted, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because I think it highlights a larger issue with the red pill manosphere culture that I've really noticed a lot recently. Pearl's tweet reads as follows: 16-year-old chicks are hotter than 26-year-old chicks. Now, this tweet was deleted a couple of hours after posting, with people not only disgusted with the content of the tweet, but also calling out Pearl for coping since she is 26 herself and clearly seems to have some self-worth issues. Soon after this tweet, it was brought to my attention by a mutual of mine that this tweet has a very similar vibe to this old Nick Fuentes post. Why is it controversial to say I want a 16-year-old wife? Tell me. Nick Fuentes is obviously a major force in the red pill scene with his radical political ideas. Like Pearl, he's also collaborated with Fresh and Fit, and it's certainly interesting that Pearl would reference the same age as Nick Fuentes in her post. And the more I thought about this possible connection, the more I've realized that the sexualization of teenage girls is being either completely accepted by these extreme fringe communities, like with Fuentes, or it's being completely dismissed and covered up in certain communities. Adam22 has been in the news a lot in the last few weeks because of his wife shooting an adult film with a man who is not him. And while obviously him doing the rounds talking about his experience of being a cuck is bringing him and his wife a lot of publicity and a lot of money, there are some who theorize that this is all a massive cover-up for allegations of Adam having a relationship with a teenage girl when he was in his early 20s. Augie RC did a really good video breaking down this theory and the timeline of the relationship as presented by Adam himself in an old blog post, and I'm going to link that video in the description below. I think Augie did a really good job laying everything out on the table. It's very interesting because on the surface, it seems that Adam comes from a totally different side of the internet than Fuentes and Pearl. He's an adult film star who does OnlyFans with his wife, and Fuentes and Pearl are promoting quote-unquote traditional values, which presumably restricts intercourse before marriage. But in reality, a lot of these red pill guys are grifters who don't actually practice what they preach. I mean, Sneeko has a bunch of girls that he sleeps with, even though he claims to be a Muslim now. Andrew Tate, despite his rhetoric against it, promotes OnlyFans girls and made his money through managing cam girls. The degeneracy of Adam22 side of the internet and the red pill sector may overlap a lot more than people realize, and maybe that includes his fascination with teen girls. In any case, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on what Pearl says next. It may be that she slips up again and says something she's not supposed to, which is really everything she tweets.